It is Game 7 of the ALCS. The winner of this game between the Astros and Yankees walks away with the American League pennant. How exciting is that? I am Allison Footer. Welcome to Batting Practice by Camping World. I am here with Jeff Nelson and Jack Morris. Guys, we don't know what exactly we're going to see tonight, but we know the game is going to start with CC Sabathia against Charlie Morton. What are you expecting early in this game?
Well, if you look at the pedigree from Sabathia so far, he's pitched pretty good in the postseason. The Yankees are 10-0 with a 1.69 ERA after a loss when Sabathia is on the mound. I think just like in Game 5 of the DS against Cleveland, this is a perfect choice to throw him. He didn't get quite 5. He struck out 9. And in the pivotal Game 3 in the ALCS, this guy's 6 shutout innings. I think out of anyone, even Tanaka, I would say, I would rather have CC Sabathia on the mound than anyone in that rotation in this spot, only because he can handle the pressure. This guy's done it before. He won't think that the moment's any bigger than what it is. He'll slow the game down, and he's nasty. He's a bulldog out there. And also he realizes he doesn't throw 95 anymore, and he competes with what he has, and that's so important to me.
Yeah, Jeff. There's so many things we can say positive about CC at this point in his career, but most importantly, you look at what he's done this year in postseason. And he stayed calm. Everything he just said, he stays within himself. I think he has a game plan. And in a generation that you see a lot of guys show their nerves and their emotions, CC is pretty unemotional. He's a guy that doesn't get rattled. Been around the game a long time and is really, I think, prepared both physically and mentally for this point in his career.
So a few numbers on Sabathia. It's a 17th postseason start for the Yankees. That's the 4th most in team history, which is pretty amazing given the Yankees' postseason history. He's also 10-0 with a 1.69 ERA and 13 starts following a Yankees loss this year. That includes the postseason. Of course, the postseason is totally different from anything we see in the regular season, but that's pretty jarring. I mean, what it says is that he's the guy that he wants to put his team on his shoulders and nail down a win for them.
Yeah, the only thing that we can add to that is those were all home wins this postseason for CC. Nobody's won on the road in this series. And home field advantage seems to be, for 6 games anyway, a huge advantage. We'll see how the crowd gets involved in this. You can see a much more relaxed Astros batting practice, I think, than we saw yesterday. The guys are more carefree out in their pregame warm-ups out in the outfield, and I don't know how that'll play out, but you can see that they're at least more relaxed, knowing that now they only have to win 1 game instead of 2.
And if you think about it, I don't know. I've been involved in 1 Game 7, and that was with the Yankees back in 2003 when we beat the Red Sox. And that one was a little stressful because I didn't want the Red Sox going to the World Series. There's no way. They did it the next year when I wasn't there. 2 Game 5s, couple Game 5s. But it seems like, I don't know, to me it was more of a relaxing atmosphere. Once the game started, I think you were on the edge of your seat because you wanted, the stress is so much and I needed to be in there, and that way I could control a little bit. But as far as these 2 teams in batting practice and right before the game, it should be nothing but relaxed atmosphere, nothing but fun, smiles. Heck, both teams battle to get to a Game 7. And like Jack said, if it means home field, because nobody has won on the road, then the Astros have got to be flying high right now thinking, okay, we don't care who's out on the mound. We win at home. We have our fans, and I think it's important to try to keep them in the game and try to eliminate the Yankees from scoring early against them.
So Charlie Morton has that working for him, that he is pitching at home. He pitches well at Minute Maid Park. He's not had a lot of success on the road, but he's pitched well here. So what might we see from him in his last outing? The numbers don't look so good, but there was actually a lot of weak hits against him.
I think we're going to see managers take over this game. I really don't believe this is going to be a deep game for anybody unless they're absolutely dealing. And then AJ and Joe can leave their starters in longer if the guys are doing well. But you've got almost everybody available on both sides tonight, including a couple starting pitchers that could be coming out of the pen. McCullers, maybe even Keuchel, who knows, for Houston. But I just can't see AJ Hinch letting Charlie Morton get out there and give up maybe 3 base runners early in this ball game. He's just not going to allow him to get to that point.
And actually it was CC in Game 4 in the elimination game in a DS. And that's what I wanted to ask you. Yankees are 4-0 in elimination games, and also the Astros are perfect here at home in the postseason. You look at that Game 4 back in the division series, and there was a lot, some criticism that, and it could happen in this game, that Sabathia was pitching well. The Yankees had a lead. It was an 8-3. And Girardi went to that bullpen and wanted to get Sabathia out early. That wound up costing him a little bit. Yes, maybe the replay or the challenge or whatever, but as good as that bullpen is, you think you have a tendency or may have a tendency to want to, hey, okay, Sabathia gave me 5. I don't care if we're up by 5-0. I want to go to that bullpen right away and all of a sudden mess up the rhythm of the game?
Well, the one key to all that is David Robertson's outing yesterday for me. I think that stands out in Joe's mind, and he remembers that freshly. So you got Canely out there. Green probably won't be available. Now all of a sudden you don't have as many guys to bridge the gap to get to Chapman late. So I think maybe Joe Girardi's going to have a little more leniency with CC Sabathia if he's pitching well, rather than what I think you're going to see out of AJ and Charlie Morton.
As we're watching batting practice presented by Camping World, we're about to watch Alex Bregman take some swings in the cage.
This is my guy from last night. Remember, I told him Bregman's going to come up big for the Astros maybe. Reddick as well. He's surprised he's in there.
So I was just going to ask you about Reddick. Very good, Jeff. So AJ, you're asking him.
Yes, you get an A today. You get a smiley face on your paper.
We asked AJ.
On the lineup.
Yes, so he's sitting at the bottom of the lineup, and of course AJ Hinch was pretty much asked, why are you playing him at all? And AJ's just trying to, he says he's trying to get his hits, he's trying to get his body mechanics back. He swings a little all over the place. He feels like he just wants him there at the bottom of the order against a left-handed pitcher. But AJ's pretty confident. Of course, he's the manager, but he's pretty confident that this could be a good game for Reddick.
Well, but also defensively, I think.
Absolutely.
This is a Game 7. That's why the Yankees, in some ways, I don't know how they lose this game, but in a way, I feel like there's a key play at one point in this game that's probably going to wind up making a difference. And if you're the Astros, regardless of what Reddick's hitting, you look at Maben out there in Morton's start, messed up the little ground rule double, and Morton gave up the 7 runs, but he didn't pitch bad. I mean, it wasn't a poor outing that he got hammered all around the yard. Bullpen actually came in and gave up a few of his runs as well. But I want a defensive game, and I got to have my best defense out there. If guys are struggling at the plate, okay. But you know what? I need guys to make plays in the outfield, in the infield. And that's going to be more important to me because you saw Sanchez again last night, had a guy nailed at home, and he winds up dropping the ball, trying to catch the ball or make the tag before catching the ball. You have Castro at second base. I think there's going to be a key play or a key moment in this game that it's going to wind up costing one of the teams, and the other one's going to wind up winning because of it.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I don't think any baseball fan really wants to see, that be a determining factor in an outcome of a ball game this significant. You got to wonder if Gary Pettis is going to start waving his arms right now because of what Sanchez
He's
has
getting
done
stretched out in there. He got a good stretch.
Anything that could be a potential run for the Astros, Gary Pettis has been waving the runners in and challenging the throws, and that's worked out for him. Maybe it won't be the same result tonight. You never know.
Yeah, AJ Hinch also mentioned he was impressed with it. He felt like the discipline of the Astros hitters, which was much better in Game 6, not feeling so anxious as they were in New York. He said, everybody kind of, we did not feel as down about things after the portion of the series in New York. We just got beat. I mean, sometimes that happens.
And they got to watch against Sabathia. Sabathia is going to be very good at playing to the Astros' aggressiveness if they are aggressive early in the count. And he's going to know that. He's going to know, because Sabathia doesn't throw 95 anymore. He hits the corners. He's got a great slider, great breaking ball. He'll mix in that changeup. He'll get the hitters off balance. And if they start to be aggressive early, then it plays right into Sabathia's game because he's going to figure that out quick. So, yes, okay, yesterday maybe you look at the 5th inning, Severino was all over the place, all of a sudden lost it for some reason, and then Robertson came in. Definitely the fatigue factor of the playoffs, I think, is hurting him because everything that he threw was flat. They wound up getting him out of there, but he did give up those 4 runs. I think the bats woke up a little bit for the Astros, and I think confidence-wise, I mean, we saw the frustration early in the game when Altuve was barking at the umpire. I was saying, I thought at that moment that the Astros were probably going to lose this game because the umpire's dictating their at-bats, what they should not. I mean, he was all over the place anyway on both sides, and there were some key pitches that could have turned the game one way or the other. but they wound up settling down a little bit. Altuve obviously getting a couple big hits, the homer, and then the single in the 5th inning. But, you know, I think patience might be the best thing for them tonight.
The Astros and Yankees are each playing in their first Game 7 since 2004 in their respective LCSs, and they both lost. The Astros lost Game 7 to the Cardinals. The Yankees lost Game 7, of course, to the Red Sox. Remember that epic collapse, as we call it, after going up 3-0 against the Red Sox. So history.
Good job yesterday.
Recent history, not so much on anyone's side. Of course, that does not matter because we're now 13 years later. A little bit more on Josh Reddick. He is hitless in 21 at-bats this series. We're kind of speculating maybe he wouldn't be playing today.
What is it, 22 or 23, the record? Something like that. We might have another record go down again.
Well, and this is also interesting, is he's 2 for 21 in his career against Sabathia. So
well, then he's due.
He's due, and that's the kind of what A.J. Hinch is saying. You know, and interestingly, the Astros 1-2 hitters are combined 3 for 45, so that's a 0.67 batting average in the first 6 games of the series. So George Springer has 2 hits and 22 at-bats. Of course, Reddick 0 for 19. Bregman 1 for 4 in that 2-hole.
Well, there's another guy, Springer. He really hasn't done anything at all either. You know, he had such a great season. He comes into the postseason, decent DS, but then all of a sudden the ALCS, he's really struggled at the top of the lineup.
Yeah, we've talked so much about Correa and, of course, Altuve, the 1-2 guys, but the guy hitting right now, Uriel's a guy that I think is kind of the dark horse. Be careful with that guy. He hits a lot of line drives. He's a guy that can really ruin your day. So there are guys in their lineup I think that you can pitch to right now, but you got to be careful with Gurriel.
Yeah, Gurriel, he doesn't strike out a lot. He's a free swinger. I think A.J. Hinch made a joke earlier today that he actually drew a walk.
Yeah, I think he swings as soon as he gets out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember he's a Rookie of the Year candidate. He's just an older guy, so we don't think about that. But he had a tremendous season this year. Really just solidified that lineup. I mean, of course, you could say that about 8 other guys. So that's nothing new as we're watching now Alex Bregman again in the cage, a batting practice presented by Camping World. So some of the Yankees bullpen we might not see, but we're going to probably see some other guys, and Aroldis Chapman is one of them. And Tommy Kahnle, who's allowed 1 run in 23 and a third innings. So the Yankees still have their weapons down there.
Yeah, Kahnle is a guy that I think is kind of I don't even know how to describe it, but I'm puzzled that he's done this well, but his command has been off the charts good. And I'm not sure he's that good. Location of his fastball has been around the perimeter of the strike zone. Will he make a mistake out over in the middle tonight? I got to believe he's going to be in the game. He's going to be one of Joe go-to guy tonight, especially if they're winning.
Yeah, I agree, and it all depends on how long. He may be the first guy that Girardi goes to. You know, another key guy that may come out of the bullpen is Tanaka. You may see him at some point because this is actually his throw day, and I'm sure he didn't throw. I don't know how that works as far as his routine or you know, the kind of rhythm or whatever he does on a day-to-day basis to get ready for a game. Obviously, Asian ball players are a little different as far as what they do to get ready for their start. You know, maybe Joe Girardi went to him and say, hey, if I need 3 outs, can I get that from you? I don't know if he goes any more than 3, but this guy's been nails so far in the ALCS. Might need him to help out a bullpen, especially, you know, if Sabathia gets knocked out early and you see Jaime Garcia or Montgomery, and I think the game's over. The Astros are going to the World Series. I don't think those guys touch the field today unless it's really out of hand at the end of the game. But I think, Jackson, I think Kahnle, you might be able to write him down for 3 and maybe Chapman for 2. I think definitely Chapman for 2, no matter what the score is, just to nail this thing down. But the interesting part is, what do the Astros do if Morton gets knocked out? A lot of people are saying, why did he even start? I mean, this is a guy that's your 4th starter, and you're having him throw in a crucial Game 7.
You know, I think number 2 guy out of the pen is going to be a starter, McCullers. AJ hinted at that the other day, and you know, why not start the kid instead of Morton? I don't know. They have the reasons, and I'm going to trust that they have a plan. But
well, they were also saying Keuchel, but then again, I mean, Keuchel's not going to give you any more than 2 innings. But no. Don't you want I would rather have, if he's going to start, I mean, if he's going to throw 2 innings, start him. Throw him first 2 innings and then go to the bullpen, knowing that, hey, you know what, I can set the rhythm or the tone of the game, and then I'll start bringing in some guys out of the bullpen. I don't think it makes any sense if this guy winds up pitching and it's later in the ballgame.
It's just always been a pet peeve of mine. I just don't think starters are ever comfortable coming out of the pen. And they're going to do that because of the nature of where we are in the postseason. But that can always be a red flag for me because there's just a different routine and a different mindset when you come out of the pen. And we'll have to see how that all transpires.
When we were Game 7 against the Red Sox in 2003, we were firing. I forgot somebody, I don't know who started, but got knocked out. I don't know if it was Cone or whatever it was. But we had Wells. David Wells came out of the bullpen. Mussina pitched like 2 or 3 innings. So that was the first time I think the Yankees have ever had guys as starters in the bullpen. We've never had that.
So we were trying to get A.J. Hinch to tell us that Verlander could possibly be available, and he would not bite on that. Of course, he says, I have no idea who's available. I couldn't tell you. You know, he kind of wasn't going to give into that. But we could see, I don't know, I feel like we're going to see quite a few innings from McCullers. And let's not forget Colin McHugh, who had 4 scoreless innings in New York and is very accustomed to starting, of course, but is not like so entrenched in his routine this year that he couldn't maybe get out of it a little bit and give him some innings.
Yeah, he could be key. You know, I think Verlander's already wrapped up at least co-MVP if the Astros win. And, you know, we've already seen in the NLCS 2 years in a row with co-MVPs. I think they're hung on that, saying, oh, let's give it to 2 guys instead of just 1. But, yeah, you know, I think maybe McHugh, I mean, this guy 4 shutout innings, didn't give up a hit when he came in. Maybe his guy could be a factor. Their bullpen might be a little bit better than what we think. But as far as their setup guys, you have Davinsky, you have Musgrave down there, even Giles yesterday. 23 pitches, left some runners on. Wasn't really a confidence builder to me. You know, I know he wanted to get him in to try to, you know, at least get rid of some of the demons that he had in New York and try to get some of the confidence back. But I know he didn't get scored upon, but at the same time, you almost got pulled because they had the bullpen up again to try to get through that inning, and they had a big lead. The late inning guys look shaky to me, and that's going to be interesting if it's a close game coming down to the end, because I don't think Giles is going to give you 2.
What I'm pulling for is that we're going to see less pitchers in this game than more pitchers. Nothing worse than seeing 17 pitchers in a baseball game.
Well, we'll be here 5 hours if that's the case.
Spring training.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Startles will get into the 5th inning, and we'll only see 2 relievers per side. That would be a wonderful thing. We'll see how it turns out.
A little bit more on Colin McHugh. The 4 no-hit innings in Game 3 of the series, the game in New York. It's his lone appearance in the postseason. Outside of McHugh, that Houston's pen has allowed 9 runs and 9 2/3 innings pitched this series. So it's been pretty widespread. I don't know. You could go a few different ways on that, but it's not. They have the weakest bullpen of the teams.
Yeah, that's the thing the Yankees are hoping for. You know, I think they were kind of hoping at for Verlander as well, maybe make something happen in the 6th or 7th inning, and that wasn't happening. But they're hoping to knock out Morton early so they can get into that bullpen, because they're really confident about beating up whoever comes out of that right center field gate out there for the Astros. So, you know, hopefully Morton pitches well and is able to give him some length a little bit. If not, I might be throwing McHugh and McCullers before I go to any of the short guys.
Yeah, so the tail of the tape here, the Astros seem to have the edge, given the Yankees are 1-5 on the road this postseason. The Astros are 5-0. Aaron Judge is hitting .087 on the road in the postseason, and Jose Altuve at home is hitting .632. That's 12 hits and 19 at-bats with 4 home runs. Those are pretty gaudy numbers. The Yankees as a team on the road in 6 postseason games, a 188 batting average. The Astros in 5 home games this postseason, they're hitting .270. So, of course, this is all on paper. I'm going to recycle these papers after the game today. And you can't really tell a whole lot, except that, you know, there are trends here, and it is late enough in the series, obviously, we can make some conclusions.
Yeah, in a Game 7, the home team is 18-7. The home team has the edge coming into a Game 7 LCS.
Well, there's a lot of things to talk about, and the good news is after tonight's game we'll be talking about the Dodgers and how this American League championship team will be matching up against them. But I just see a lot of things and a lot of scenarios that could happen in today's game. The one that I just am having a tough time putting my arms around is both starters getting in the 7th inning. I just don't see that happening in this game.
Yeah, I don't either. Well, definitely, Sabathia is definitely not going to be in there. If he gives you 5, I think Girardi does go to that bullpen. If he can get into the 6th shutout, the only way he goes a little deeper if the Yankees get a huge lead and they're going to ride the starter so they can limit Canely to maybe 1 or 2 innings and then limit Chapman to just 1, and then you got it wrapped up. If they're digging into that bullpen early, it could be interesting because I honestly think Betances are going to stay away from. Both Montgomery and Garcia they're going to stay away from. And I think they stay away from Robertson if they have to. The only way because of yesterday. You look at yesterday's game, everything was flat. Breaking ball was flat, fastball was flat. He's gone more innings in this postseason than he's ever been used to. And yeah, you got to expect that, but at the same time, I think he's starting to feel the effects of it.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a few little analytics at you, Jack, just to make your whole day. But really, with Charlie Morton, the numbers suggest that the expected batting average against, compared to what the opponents are actually hitting against him, is about 100 points lower, that he really has gotten unlucky. There's some bloop singles, there's some bleeders, that they have not been hitting him hard. If the Astros fans need some words of encouragement to be excited about this outing, it might be that he's been, A.J. Hinch said it last night, he's been more unlucky than anything. He has a lot of confidence in him. Sometimes, and hey, those pitches, they are making contact. There is something on Morton's side too, but it's not like he's just giving up 5 home runs every outing.
Well, I wish we could jump into the mind and the heart of Charlie Morton right now, because that'll tell you everything that's going to happen today. Unfortunately, we just have numbers and we have past history, and that doesn't always equate to the next part of history. And so, I think Charlie's probably excited about the opportunity to pitch this game. That if he does well, all of a sudden your stock goes up in baseball, forlorn. But he's got to go out and prove that yet. And I got to believe the Yankees hitters are more excited about facing Charlie Morton than they are a couple of the other guys that they face in this postseason.
And here's the difference. You have 2 guys. You have Sabathia and Morton. This is Morton's biggest start of his life. And how does he handle that? And then you have Sabathia. He's been through this many a times. He's had many starts of his life. I'm sure he's coming in today just like any other start and doing whatever he usually or normally does during his start during the regular season or the postseason. And Morton has never been through this.
As we're watching batting practice presented by Camping World, a couple of Astros hitters. We talked a little bit about George Springer. We should mention that dating back to about the end of May in 2016, when the Astros, that's the last time the Astros were terrible, and that's the last time that George Springer did not hit in the leadoff spot. So since they put him in the leadoff spot, they have been just rolling. They started winning and pretty much almost overcame like a 7-22 deficit that they started that season. So he's not been hitting a whole lot this series, and he's struck out 7 times. But he's walked 4 times, and he's been seeing pitches and drawing a 4-pitch walk. That's encouraging for a young guy who's kind of a free swinger, and he likes to hit, and he's not having a lot of success. So that does indicate that he might be able to break out of that a little bit.
Well, I saw him try to do something today in batting practice that I haven't seen him do in this postseason. That's go to right field with about 7 straight pitches thrown to him. That's going to keep him on the ball a little bit more. I think he's really gotten pull happy. He wants to hit a home run in the worst way. He's always been a guy to yank, lift and separate, wants to hit home runs. And that's not your prototypical leadoff guy. Your leadoff guy, you want to work counts, get the pitch count up early, let the other hitters see a lot of pitches, and grind out on that bat, hopefully get on base with either a walk or a base hit. That doesn't really define George Springer when he's in the leadoff role.
Don't you think, you're looking at Marwin Gonzalez as well, hasn't done a whole lot in the postseason. Same thing, going the other way. You think that's part of their game plan and against CC Sabathia, knowing that, hey, if we try to pull this guy, we're going to be digging ourselves a hole.
I think that is their game plan, and they've probably been told that already by the hitting coaches and blah, blah, blah. But the one thing about CC is he can counter adjust, and he knows that too. And if he sees them start diving out over the plate, then they're going to get more fastballs in and try to jam them.
So we're watching batting practice presented by Camping World. The Astros have lost 5 of 6 potential series clinching postseason games at home. The only time they clinched a postseason series at home It was pretty unforgettable. I was here, and that was pretty cool. That was Chris Burke's walk-off home run in the 18th inning. Let's not make this. That game started at noon, by the way, and I got home at 11 that night. That was quite a long baseball game. But that's the only time that they've clinched a series here. So this could be very exciting for Astros fans who were pretty loud last night. Maybe it wasn't quite Yankee Stadium volumes, but they were pretty into that game last night.
Oh, they were, and that's the key. They got to try to stay in it again. The Astros have has to try to keep the fans in the game the whole way. And for the Yankees, sometimes it's not a big deal when they go on the road and the other fans are crazy. And I don't think there's anything like Yankee fans as far as some of the things that they do to the opposing team when they come in, but. For them to feed off their fans, for the Astros to feed off their fans, they got to keep them in the game.
Yeah, no question about that. And the Yankees, the only way to take their fans out of the game is get the early lead.
As we're watching batting practice by Camping World continue, I believe that is Tyler White who is in the cage right now. Game 7s, let's just talk a little bit about that. There is nothing like it. It's much more fun if you're sort of objective and don't have an emotional investment in anything. But there's nothing better in sports. And I guess, we talked about it a little bit last night, but how do you approach it? How do you kind of mentally prepare for it? You have to sort of ignore the noise in some ways, and in some ways, not get caught up in it too much. And this is a situation that the Astros have not been in. A lot of these guys, we could count on one hand anyone who's actually been in a Game 7 situation.
I think the Astros have been in one, right? In 2004, and that was the only Game 7 they've ever been in?
Right, yes. And when you have some veteran guys, Justin Verlander has pitched in 2 World Series, and Carlos Beltran obviously has a long history in the postseason, but this is uncharted territory for most of these guys.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, none of these players have been in that. Maybe Verlander, I don't know if he's been in a Game 7, but when you have guys on base, do they say, they put too much pressure on themselves? I've got to get this guy in, and all of a sudden they wind up not doing it. It's tough. I think it's a great atmosphere, and it's awesome that you have a great Game 7. I think if you ask the players, they would have rather won like yesterday and eliminate the Game 7. But for some guys that have never been through it, it's going to be interesting to see them in key situation when guys are on base and key pitches that they have to make to get out of jams.
Yeah, it should be noted that the only team that wanted there to be a Game 7 yesterday was the Astros.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's obvious to me that Game 7 is still another baseball game. And yes, the significance of it for the fans, for baseball, for your team in general is enormous. It's magnified. But you still have to remember that you're the same ball player you were yesterday. And therefore, you got to block out all the distractions. You got to stay within yourself. More so, I think, than any other time, you really have to reflect on your focus and just be able to concentrate on the job at hand, whether you're a pitcher, whether you're a hitter, whether you're a defensive player trying to make a good play. You got to be able to focus on the baseball and just stay within yourself, because when you try to do more than you're capable of, that's when things fall apart.
Let's talk defensively a little bit. The Astros have really had a nice showing. The Yankees, not so much, and I'm really thinking more of Gary Sanchez, Starlin Castro, and that can make all the difference to me, almost like your mental focus. I think that it can really come back to bite you if you just let up a little bit defensively in these pressure situations. But the Astros defense has been pretty awesome.
It has, and I think that's one of the reasons why Reddick's out there. You want some guys that can cover some ground. He's got a great arm in right field. He may have to have a key throw at some point during the game, and that's what neither team wants to see a mistake cost them the World Series. But sometimes, or a lot of times, that usually happens.
Okay, well, we're wrapping up batting practice presented by Camping World. Thanks everybody for watching, and enjoy Game 7.